Welcome back to a brand new season of Suits and Tracksuits. You know, thank you for watching our pilot, our first 5 episodes. We've learnt a lot. What do you think of them, Jav?
Yeah, great to be back. We've still got our suits, we've still got our tracksuits.
Yeah.
New location. A lot of people gave us a lot of feedback, so thank you first of all to everyone who's been watching. We really appreciate the valuable feedback, and one of the things you said was about the black background that we had. Right guys, I know a lot of you said about our background in the last place, but being outdoors, my head's freezing, my ears are freezing, so I hope you like it. So for all those who gave us that feedback, make sure you like, subscribe, tell your family, your gran, your dog, your pets, whatever, because we now want you to watch us. I don't know if you guys can see behind us, but we've got the Shard, we've got the Gherkin, walkie-talkie building, we've got green outside, we've got animals near Vauxhall City Farm.
We've got aeroplane sounds, we've got train sounds, you know, we're definitely in London, you know what I mean? But we're still happy, we're still enthusiastic, and we're still driven and ready to give you that knowledge that you need.
I don't know whose idea it was to be filming outside. Well, we know it was his idea, innit? But I don't know if I'm down for all this. I don't know about this series 2 being outside. You let me know, because I'm freezing.
So, Jav, how's your week been?
Good, thanks, Dex.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week working on a few projects.
Yes.
Just been cracking on, really. I think, again, using this quiet time to really focus, I think has been quite important.
Yeah.
So I've realigned my goals and thought, okay, I've got a bit more extra time because of lockdown, so what else can I do? So squeezed in a few more things, but all good. What about you, Dex?
Yeah, I've been nearly the same, you might as well say. I've been very busy. I've had a little bit of back pain due to, you know, too much work. So sometimes you gotta rest. I know I'm a what do you call it? A bad person when it comes to resting.
Workaholic?
I'm a workaholic.
Okay.
I can't even help it, Jav. I'm not even lying to you. I feel like when they say you're meant to rest, I feel like it's free time. And I think when you got free time, that's the time that you can work extra.
Right.
So my brain's kind of programmed a bit mad.
Yeah. No, I take time for rest all the time, I think.
Yeah. That's why I look so healthy, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a skin cream I use.
Oh, okay.
And my parents' genes, I think it is. But, I think rest is so important. I think it's being productive is important, but I think working smart, not hard at times. I know you work smart as well, but you work smart on a lot of things. It's just finding that balance of having that time to rest. So I love walks in the nature, for example.
Yeah.
Going to Battersea Park, Hyde Park, Regent's Park. We're so lucky, those in London and wherever you are in the world, there's a lot of free parks out there. You can just take a walk, you know, that is
taking advantage of what's around us is something that I definitely believe is needed to be emphasized a lot more. You know, whether it's even taking advantage of public transport.
Yeah.
Because I've taken public transport quite a bit recently, and I wouldn't say I just enjoyed it more than driving, but I actually got a lot more work done while I was on public transport.
Yeah.
Opposed to being in the car driving on my phone, you know, because, you know, we're not allowed to be driving on our phone and stuff. So I kind of took a little bit more advantage of public transport, and that grass thing, you know.
You've been standing on it?
I've been standing on the grass,
right.
mate. I've been standing on the grass at the bottom of my ass. I've been standing on the grass.
Yeah.
And I've been releasing all that negativity. Yeah, so I'm quite happy about that.
Brilliant. For anyone who missed that reference to the grass, in a prior episode we spoke about if anyone's feeling stressed, by standing on grass with your bare feet, if you visualize your stresses going into the ground, it's a great technique used by many to just release. So Dexter's been trying that. I think he's got grass all around his house now, so it's brilliant to see.
Everywhere you get, I've got grass on my wall. You know what I mean? Taking advantage of lots of more things that's around us.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone, I think during lockdown, people started to use their brain. Didn't you see that meme that came out and it said there's a new app out, it's called Brain. I think a lot more people should use it. Yeah,
really?
I've seen that meme.
No.
Yeah, it's a proper meme, isn't it? There's a new app out, it's called Brain. I think a lot more people should use it. And you know what I mean? Because when it came to lockdown, a lot more people started to use their brain in terms of, oh, I don't need to go to the gym. I can exercise in the garden. I can lift up pots and water, and you know what I mean? Or I can cook. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know I can cook. You know, I can go for a walk in the park. A lot of people started to use their brain a lot more. Yeah. A lot of people started to take advantage of the natural things that is around and started to realize what's important.
Yeah.
You know, I think I found out what's important when it came to lockdown. I don't know about yourself, but when it came to lockdown, I realised I want to see my children a lot more.
Yeah.
I want to look after myself a lot more. And I want to structure the background of my businesses a lot more. Because when I wasn't in lockdown, I was on the go. I was constantly on the go. So it was, I'm doing. But when I've been in lockdown, I've been looking. And since I've been looking a lot more, I've noticed the loopholes, the mistakes, the overlapping, the slackness. And I've just spent a lot more time, how can I say it? Preparing to sell my business, even though I'm not selling my business.
Got it.
You understand?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, I think this time has been a period of reflection. And I think because you have a lot of quiet time, so there are times, you know, I love music, I listen to a lot of different types, a lot of genres.
Yeah.
Sometimes I switch off and I just sort of, you know, look at the trees, look at the grass and just...
You're a natural at.
Yeah, just... my mind just wanders into space. And I think what's been happening for me in lockdown is a lot of reflection. And I think a lot of personal growth has come out of it. And it's just, you know, situations that play back in your mind, some of which we've spoken about on screen in the podcast. And you start going back to revisit circumstances, situations. And I think it's with the best intention to want to grow, right?
Yeah.
And just learning more about yourself, learning more about people you've met along the way. You sort of realize, you know, for example, in lockdown, I have put so many Facebook posts for my teachers because I'm constantly saying good things about them.
Yeah.
Because when I was at school, and for any students, you know, watching this, teachers are that sort of, in my eyes, that sort of angelic being who can really support you in what you're doing to set you up for the future. And it's a very sort of, you know, they're in that industry generally because they want to become a teacher. I wanted to become an IT guy and a professional, so I've gone down that route. But to want to become a teacher, that says, from a characteristic point of view, you want to give back to the world.
Yeah.
So, and I remember how I felt, especially at Archery Tennyson's, which is a school just behind us. All of my teachers, all of those who I'm connected with on Facebook, thank you so much. And even those I'm not and those who are no longer here, I appreciate you for everything you've done, as well as Walnut Tree Walk and my other primary schools, because, you know, you guys were great. So
I know he's talking about bigging up all the teachers, so let me big up all my teachers. Big you up, yeah? But I still don't trust ya.
So wait, hold on, we're shouting at teachers.
We're shouting at teachers.
Because what I'm saying is, I would shout at a couple of you teachers, innit? Because a couple of you lot are my mates, you know what I mean? Mr. Thomas, you know what I mean? There's a couple of them, innit? But you know, like people like Miss Clark, I can't deal with her, I'll be honest. I won't even name drop and mention people's names, but hey, what? When I was in school, I used to think the same. I used to feel that teachers are like the angel-like kind of people who they won't lie, they won't betray you, they've got the knowledge, they're here to give back. But sadly, I think once one teacher specifically, I would say, broke my trust, he opened up my eyes to make me understand that all people are just humans. So as much as they're a teacher or a lawyer or a professor or they're your mother or they're your father, they are still humans. So they still have mental problems, or if they do or they don't. They still have emotions. They still have bad tendencies. They still have good tendencies. So I had to learn very fast after being, what can I say, misled and broken trusted. You know, I remember being actually in school, and I actually tell you the situation. I was in school, a certain teacher I trusted very much, so you must know who you are, Tennyson's, a certain teacher I trusted very much. We was in the headmaster's office, and as far as I'm concerned, the headmaster's trying to kick me out, but he has no grounds to kick me out. You just know that I orchestrate stuff, but I'm never the person who's doing the stuff in terms of. So I wasn't just sending people to do bad stuff, but I mean I was always involved, but you would never catch me in the act.
So you were a manager.
I was a manager, leveraging others from an early age.
Leader
but I was leading from the front. But what sadly happened is when I got in that office, when I walked in, I saw the teacher, and I thought, Donnie's there anyway, so Donnie's got my back. And sadly, Donnie turned around and said, yeah, well, I think, you know, it's time for Dexter that he might have to leave. And I thought, whoa, hold on. Say that again? And I actually said that in a meeting.
Yeah.
Say that again? And he's like, well, Dex, you know, these kind of things and these kind of leaderships is not rare. I didn't say nothing else for the rest of the meeting because I was literally gobsmacked. I couldn't actually believe that I felt betrayed. I felt that he was there to protect me in a certain capacity. But then when we got in front of his boss, it was, yeah, he can go. And I thought, wow, yeah, I don't trust no one no more.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I said, I would big up some of your teachers because some of your teachers done me well. You know what I mean? Especially some of my teachers from Millbank. I swear his name was Mr. Patterson. I don't know if he's ever gonna find this video or see this podcast, but Mr. Patterson, he was a great guy, proper great guy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I have a teachers in Stockwell Park School in Tennyson's because I eventually ended up leaving Tennyson's, so I didn't get expelled. I left Tennyson's and I went to Stockwell Park and I found some more friends in teachers, but sadly I just didn't trust them anymore.
So I think me and Dexter have different opinions of teachers. I really like them, but I know something happened there. So all the teachers that are watching, you're my people. You know, I won't dwell on work examples, but I think, you know, you can take that example of trust or perhaps things gone a certain way, which can apply to any instance, right? So I think it's for those, especially our younger audiences, we spoke about resilience previously.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my biggest things is if you are a strong character or someone with opinion, sometimes we have to sort of reflect. And for me especially, it's like, how do you come across? How can that come across? And being resilient to times where you learn new things in new situations. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think
learn
for me,
yourself, isn't it?
About yourself. And I think learning to be self-sufficient is one of the biggest things I've learned, which is your mood shouldn't depend on those who are around you to feel a certain way. And I think that starts with believing in yourself, being positive, but also having good intentions, right? You want to have a good day. You want to do good for those around you. So you know, I've been let down in different ways, and for me, I look back and I thank these people because
I should though. Yeah.
It's also gratitude from me. Like, thank you to those who might have misled me and said things to me because I'm on a path now which I'm very, very grateful for, and it helped me excel. And I think that's the other thing, which is where you've been let down. I think my biggest learning is to forgive and release so that you can then move on, because it's quite easy to sit and dwell on things. And I'm not saying that's the right or wrong thing to do. For me personally, when I've looked at things where I've been, you know, misled or down a certain path, I send them nothing but good vibes and say, thank you so much. I know where I stand.
They helped you.
They helped me.
They help man find themselves, because I mirror what you said in terms of taking what situation what they put you through, and understanding that you wouldn't have found a certain part of you if you didn't go through that situation. And I've learned off the back of that in my business life, in terms of the reason why I do so much is because I want to learn. The reason why I try so much is because I want to know. And the more I've tried, the more I've failed, the more I've succeeded, is the more I've learned about myself. And of late, I've literally started to study myself in terms of when I eat before I go to bed, how does it make me sleep? When I drink a smoothie in the morning, how does it make my day go? Yeah. When I listen to a certain song, how does it make my mood change? So I've been studying myself because I want to be on my high frequency level of myself as much as possible.
Big topic.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Topic,
So I just want to know, okay, what brings me to my high frequency?
Yeah.
Cool. So see if I know listening to Bob Marley, One Love, brings me that vibe. Cool. Every morning I'm going to pump that. Then I know I have a smoothie. It puts me in an energetic mood. Cool. So I listen to that song, I have a smoothie. Then I know if I've got a list to do for the day, I think different, opposed to just attacking the day. Yeah. Bro, I've started to become amazing. You know, I feel like a superhero in terms of, okay. Every day I feel a lot more strength here. Yeah. So studying yourself, I would definitely say is, you know, what do you call it? It's imperative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to really reflect and be honest with yourselves as well, right? For me, it's like, be honest with yourself. Could you have done this differently? Could you have done, and I think that's where you go, imagine you were a third person in that room. Then you think, okay, I'd say I'm confident.
Yeah.
I can get my point across.
I get my point across a bit too much.
Yeah, and then you think of the audience, and I think, well, could that have been delivered differently? Yeah. And I think we all learn and grow, right? So I think for me, it's that taking a step back and not approaching. I think someone I worked with at one of the tech companies, and he gave me such a great example. And he's like, look, when someone sends you an email of a certain type, look past the emotion and look at what they're asking for. And I do this in conversations. If someone's come to me and they're quite angry or upset, not necessarily me or just in life, like look past the emotion, and they say peel back the onion skin. Like with an onion, there's layers. So you peel back and try and get to the core of what it is that makes them upset. And it could be that somebody's let them down. Maybe it's a traumatic issue that they've had from a childhood, which certain triggers lead to them reacting a certain way in certain situation or situations. But I think it's recognizing what those triggers are and knowing how to respond. And I think a lot of that is, again, inner work, self-work, reflection. And then once you sort of master what that looks like, I think, you know, it's cracking yourself before trying to say it's this person's fault or that person's fault.
I ain't mastered that yet. I'm not going to lie to you. I ain't mastered it yet. I've not mastered, but I've studied myself in terms of trying to perform the best. But reaction is what I'm stuck at.
Yeah.
So I read a message someone sends, my blood boils. Yeah. I read an email someone sends, I listen to a tone of someone's voice, and I think even when my blood boils, because of the level of where I am now in my life, I know consequences. That's the only reason I stop at that moment. So it's like, all right, then let me think how to answer this person back. But not saying I'm still not bubbling. I'm still bubbling because I think the audacity, or don't you understand? Or, I've got to explain this all again. But again, studying myself has made me realize my intellect, has made me realize my wisdom, my knowledge, my experience. So it makes me think different. It makes me breathe different. It makes me act different. So I have to now think, the person I'm speaking to, have they been through half of what I've been through? Have they studied what I've studied? Do they take on life the way I take on life? Do they look at life the way I look at life? Like sometimes, like no disrespect to anybody living with their parents, but you know, I argue with people, or should I say I go back and forth with people who live at home with their parents. To me, you've had no experience of maybe paying your own bills. Yeah. You've had no experience of living by yourself and not having that safety net to grab hold of you. So I have to start thinking, who am I speaking to? Yeah. Before I even check myself now. So it's like, why would you make someone of that intellect get you upset? They don't even understand what they're saying, let alone you want them to understand what you're saying. So I've had to learn the hard way, Job. Yeah. Like the hard way.
And, you know, different people are in different journeys in their life, right? Some people might be in a fortunate situation where they, you know, have everything sorted for them. Yeah. And I think when you've come from a hard-working background, you know the importance of money, the importance of timing, of showing up, being present and delivering. And I know we've had instances where we've experienced certain things where it's not been the case. Yeah. And it's been disappointing. And you're like, in the corporate world, it doesn't work like this. And you know, so I completely get it. And I think to what you're saying is that it's knowing the audience and sort of being empathetic in a way, but understanding their situation and going, okay, what is it? And one of the things I'll say is what works for me now, which is always approaching things with a positive mindset, assuming the best intent. Like that person could be meaning well. What are they saying? Depending on a circumstance.
Yeah, right? I get you. Yeah.
But also to go into things with a solution-based mindset, not a problem-based mindset. No. And that's what I request when people come to me as well. It's like, okay, well, how do you think we can solve this? Yeah. What do you think we can approach
this with? Instead of dwelling on the problem.
Exactly. Because if you look at a problem, there's 1,000 ways to look at a problem. Yeah. But there's also 1,000, if not more, ways to look at a solution. Yeah. Let's change track and go to solution mode, because that's going to be a better use of everyone's time. And I think that's the biggest mindset shift. I think we spoke about the open and closed mindset, a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck, which is a previous recommendation on our on. And
I hope you've been getting these books.
Yeah, I hope you're getting these books. But it goes back to open and fixed mindset. You know, when you're in that positive state of mind and you're speaking to someone in that positive state of mind, it's extracting certain bits of information. Whereas if I was speaking to someone and with a negative point of view, I'd listen to some sort of music which was playing lyrics in my head about God knows what, right? Then I'd maybe, drill into them in a certain way. And I was like, no, you don't want to do that. Life's too short. Keep your bridges. I think that's another thing. Yeah. Not to burn bridges, to maintain healthy relationships, because the world's small. It's a short life. I just keep it sweet.
I know.
And maintain
It's very hard to do that. Obviously, when you come from different backgrounds, obviously when you grow up around different environments, like one of the things that I've noticed, which I had to take on board, is that I speak with a louder tone. Mm-hmm. That's just speaking. But then I get excited and my tone goes to nearly shouting. So imagine what it's like when I'm shouting. But that's because I grew up in a house of shouting. People don't understand that. My house wasn't like Mouse's. I'm talking shouting every single day. So there's a difference in how I grew up. When I think, well, how my dad talks and how he describes something to me, he's just animated and he's a bit loud. Yeah. Now I've come across and I've started to do that. But to other people or some people, it's like, whoa, you're a bit much. So yeah, it's different folks, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's the biggest thing in the workplace. And I think when workplaces usually they've started to talk about, how do we attract people from certain backgrounds and backgrounds like ours. I won't discuss my thoughts on the word BAME, but let's just say, because it's too specific, it's too like, you lot are this thing.
You lot are this thing, and right now we need to get some of you lot in our workplaces and how we got to do it. Because I feel like the people, sorry to cut you straight away because that's your point, but again, you see me, I get tickled. The person at the top has a responsibility to run their company a certain way. The public have now looked in that person's company and have seen that you are not displaying a fair outlook that represents the society that we live in. They don't care really. But because there's so many eyes on their company, it's like they have to. So now they're just trying to, how can we? What can we put in place? What programs? What? Suits and tracksuits.
Yeah. You speak to us. We'll tell you about it.
Suits and tracksuits
is the answer.
Like, we can come in and we can structure your thing and make you know how you can reach the Black and Asian community and how you should speak to the Black and Asian community, because you don't understand. If you have a classroom and one's an elephant and one's a camel and one's a giraffe and one's a zebra, they won't all understand the same language. Am I lying?
I don't remember those guys in our class.
No, but you know what I mean? Different strokes for different folks. You got to learn how to do it with people differently. Yeah. And I know that I believe a lot of the people in certain workplaces or certain companies, they don't know how to deal with the Black or Asian community. So back over to you.
Thanks, Dex.
Yeah.
So on that topic, and I think it's quite a deep topic. So for me, look, whether someone looks the same as me, I wouldn't expect them to be the same as me, right? I think that's an element of unconscious bias playing out there. So even myself, to check myself, just because this person is of an Asian background doesn't mean they're going to be into the same foods or music. So everyone starts at like blank for me, in the blank in the sense of, I want to learn about you, let's get to know you. And I think when you sort of categorize people into these groups, again, I admire the positive work with positive intent where it is being done. But I think it's too easy to generalize. And I think the situation there, so for example, I went to a school where I had a lot of friends who were Black. But I know that within the Black community, there's Nigerian, Ghanaian, Jamaican, there's Sierra Leone. And even within each culture, how you would speak to someone is very different. Like how you might want to approach someone from a Ghanaian background is very different to how you'd want to approach someone from a Jamaican background.
I totally
and it goes even deeper than that, right? So, and then you look at sort of cultural background, family heritage, sort of past historical stuff which is happening in those countries, okay? And then sort of explains a certain type of mindset which might be present. And I think it goes very, very deep, and I don't want to go into too much depth on this topic, but the whole point is generalizing and putting people into one bucket, I personally don't think is a way. I think getting to know the different types, and no one's saying study it like, brain science again. It's like, just have some generic idea or a general idea
of
to
different
take time
cultural backgrounds.
Yeah, just we're humans. We share a planet with a lot of different people. London is a melting pot of so many different cultures coming together, which I absolutely love. But pay attention, like listen a little bit, ask questions.
Prime example, I met Brian Rose the other day.
Oh, the guy running for
London Mayor.
That's right.
He's a good guy as well. Shouts out to Brian Rose. He's a very, very good guy, and we've kept in contact. But meeting him, my first instinct is you're American. You know? Now that's stereotypical because it's, you know, what does that mean? But and when he even turned around and said Boris is born in New York, I thought, hold on, is it? And then, you know, Sadiq's Asian. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so why are we talking about culture and colour then? Because you've heard that he's American. So straight away that knocked that out of my head. Yeah. So I thought, okay, let me give him a chance. Let me speak a little bit more to him. Then I started listening to what he wants to change. And I thought, okay, as much as I think politicians just always make promises and maybe break them, at least he's putting his best foot forward to say what he would like to stop. Like one of the main things is congestion. Like, come on, congestion. I hate it. I hate congestion charge.
We're just in congestion.
We're just in congestion now. You know what I mean? That's why we're doing suits and tracksuits in congestion. You know what I mean? But yeah, congestion. I don't like it. So people like him, going back to the cultural differences, is taking the time out to understand a person opposed to even the culture. And then you start finding out about the culture. Because I remember me and my good mate, we used to always talk about, is it me or is it that a lot of African musicians are getting through the door at the moment opposed to a lot of Caribbean musicians? And we kind of gathered, or we kind of came to a conclusion, that is it because the African culture tends to take orders a lot, or direction or management a lot more easier or serious than the Caribbean culture.
Interesting.
Hear me out. Meaning, if African boy was told, if you sweep up this room, then you can probably become manager one day. In his mind, he's thinking, okay, I'm going to work towards that to become manager. Whereas in the Caribbean background, the first thing we're thinking is, I ain't sweeping. I can get to a manager another route. And I think that's a cultural thing. So when we was talking about in the music game, I think like a lot of the English or Caribbean rappers or Caribbean heritage rappers wasn't getting through at the time. But then it was Tiny Temper, Tinchy Strider, Lethal B, you know, Skepta, Rare. A lot of the African cultures were getting through, meaning getting signed, getting deals. So cultural differences plays a big part. And people who run businesses or own companies or even in the work environment have to start studying it and taking it on board a lot more.
Yeah, and I think there's two parts of that. I think there's a duty on those in the companies, but also a duty on individuals. Now, if I'm very honest about my experience, yes, I've faced some instances of people trying to put me down or whatever, but there are a lot of instances where I've had people support me in what I'm doing. And I've got to look at the positives. Again, I've got to be of a mindset that I'm talking about, right? So there are people who have encouraged me and pushed me and opened doors for me. So I think there are opportunities to be had, but I also think people need to deliver. Okay, and that's myself, right? I'm not saying it applies to me too. Everyone has to deliver. And right now, I think it's a perfect opportunity for people from backgrounds like ours, because the world is seeking people from our backgrounds to be in great roles. 100%. But I do think, you know, there are fantastic candidates, and that's great. But I think, if I think back to our school year, for example, there were a lot of people who didn't want to do the work but wanted everything. Yeah. And that's where I'd say
entitlement.
Yeah, it's not Sadiq Khan's fault or Prime Minister's fault. You've not achieved this.
It's none of the government's fault. I hate hearing people say about this stuff.
That's a big topic, because I'm like, can we stop blaming other people for what's going on in your household when you've had the opportunity as same as like whoever else on your street or whatever, and you could have done whatever you wanted. Like, and I think this is a great example of us. Even though we've gone down separate routes, we've gone to do something.
We've gone to do something on our own accord, taken our own paths, and become what we've become through our own journey.
Exactly, and this is us reporting back again.
Reporting back again, you know what I mean?
So, but I think it is a two-way responsibility, and that's where I think what I found is a lot of sensitivity on this topic. And again, I hate to get involved with sensitive topics. I like to keep things a little bit.
Me too. That's why I stick to business.
Yeah, stick to business.
Say, how come you talk so good? Because I only talk about business.
Yeah. So, and I won't go into the sensitivities of this topic, but what I would say, it's a two-way street. If you want that great job in a great company, then tell them why, show them why. And I think it's been quite a fair journey. So if I think about my first job application at 22 to a major corporate, or 21 as an intern to a major corporate, I still remember that interview. I was treated so nicely.
Yeah.
They wanted to know about my experience.
Yeah.
And they were asking me questions about, my future thoughts. What do I want to go on to do? My aspirations. And that was back then, before any of these diversity initiatives came out. So thank you, Microsoft.
I was going to say, there was good people.
There was good people. So that was Microsoft's, hats off where credit where due. Yeah. And, I still remember my interview in Reading, Thames Valley Park. And the guy treated me so nicely, and he had a Range Rover. So I was like, one day I want to work for you, and I'm going to get a Range Rover. And I later did it. I've sold the car now because I had to spend it on my app business. But I got it. I got the car that he had at the time, and I aspired to be like him. But he treated me so nicely. But I'm like, you know what? If I came here and I didn't prepare like I did, I wouldn't have got this job. Not because of who I am or my colour of my skin, because I didn't deliver. Yeah. So then you think about it and think, actually, you know what? And that goes back to the positive mindset. It's, well, if I thought of it, I could do that, but hang on, there's a responsibility on my part, then it changes the game. You start stepping your game up. Yeah. So I think less complacency, and I'm not saying this is always the case. I get it if people are severely pushed down, but I do think now's the time, skill up. We're in lockdown.
And that's, I want to touch on that subject in terms of your skill set, what you bring to the table, what your capability is. Because I think there's a lot of expectation, a lot of entitlement in terms of, I should get that position just because. I'm not even sure why some people feel like they should get the position, because I feel like a lot of people nowadays don't want to take time to study their craft. A lot of people want to have surface knowledge and then have a full-blown conversation. Yeah. A lot of people want to have surface knowledge of a skill and then want to have a full-blown job and get full-blown pay for it. And I think that they lack a certain responsibility of value. Like, you've got to bring value to the company, or you've 100%. Got to bring value to the workplace. You've got to bring value to your own business. It doesn't just happen. And everybody expects a paycheck. Okay, let's wheel it back a minute. We're about to be released from lockdown. A lot of people's been made redundant. A lot of businesses have become smaller. But why is it that some people think because they have a degree or a master's degree that they cannot go and do a less of a job for less of a money, opposed to still sticking to that field? Like, you've got to learn to bob and weave. Adaptability is key. You can't sit down and dwell that, well, I've got a master's degree, I used to be a top manager of this, and then because lockdown came, it mashed my life up, so now I'm expecting that they should phone me back, or my job should give me another position, or the redundancy money they should... Whoa!
Yeah. Big topic. I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to do a Dexter here. I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, let's go.
But I drove through Victoria the other day,
and
I was quite surprised to see a guy holding up a board saying, I've got a master's, I'm looking for a job, and I need to pay my rent.
Dead serious.
And I was like, this guy, is this serious? He's out on the street holding a board, and my heart broke.
He's got a job now, guaranteed.
Yeah, so I hope he found a job. Because I was like, if you're willing to go to this extent to try and get people to get your attention, then hats off to you. You are trying. So I think it's that sort of, and this is why these cups are on the table. If you guys can see these, there's robots on there because it comes onto this topic about the future and the way things are going. So I think as we're thinking of lockdown and things opening, in this time, we have seen the biggest wave of technological implementations, right? So COVID has been a reason. Now, I actually wrote a massive dissertation on this as part of my MBA a couple of years ago, and I said this time was coming.
At Harvard?
It was at Brunel.
Oh, at Brunel.
This one is at Brunel.
Sorry. Yeah.
And it was all about how technology is going to evolve so quickly that jobs will be replaced, right? And that's exactly what's happened. So I think whether you have a master's or, all degrees or whatever, it doesn't, and I hate to say it doesn't matter, because there's a lot of investment. I've gone down the education route. I have spent a lot of money and a lot of time, so I completely get it and I empathize. So anyone who's in doing things they're not necessarily signed up to do or want to do because of the current climate. But as you say, I think you have to put food on the table. You have to pay for your rent. You have to pay for your mortgage or whatever it might be.
You have to make it happen.
You've got to make it happen. Just go out and do. Like, I would genuinely, I used to have a market stall when I was a kid. If I had to go and buy and sell things off eBay again, I would do. I have no problem
buying and selling, mate. Buying and selling, mate. It's dead serious. You know what I mean? I've hustled. I've done car washing. You know what I mean? I've hustled. I've done penny for the guy. I've hustled, I've had businesses, I've had companies. I'm serious when it comes to this hustling thing. And that's one thing I can say about Mr. Trump. Yeah, he ain't getting no more big up, that's his name, him. But one thing he did say, he did put in a law or a legislation, whatever you call it. As you can see, I'm not clued up in that kind of thing. I talk about business. But he said skill set over degrees.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've believed in that for years. Why have I believed in that for years? It's not because I actually believe entrepreneurs have more skill sets than people with degrees. It's because of what I've witnessed. I've witnessed many people, many females, many males, many friends, not many family relatives, but a couple family relatives with with degrees, not just law degrees, different degrees, art degrees, design degrees. And then they become a different job.
Yeah.
Like, huh? You just studied for bare years. You just got a 2-1. You just got a 2-2. You just got a first.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be a plumber or a teacher. And I think, rah. So really now you're using your skill opposed to your qualification.
Yeah.
Because I want this one to be clear. We no longer live in a place that you have to acquire a piece of paper to give to another human for that person to tell you are good enough to work for me.
Absolutely, and a massive point. And someone who's gone down that route, I couldn't agree more. Because it's all about your skill set. Again, I will say, as a society, we need to move away from expecting everything and expecting everyone else to do it for us, and to reduce this blaming of the other, and take responsibility for ourselves and say, I've got the internet, I can become whatever I want. I think that's the biggest thing. If I look at my groups of friends and circles, it's those who are willing to roll their sleeves up and get involved with things at a bottom level, top level. It's those who, the grinders. Like, if we look at Elon Musk, who's now, owner of one of the most successful and valuable companies in the world, Tesla, there's pictures of him. And obviously I like cars. So there's a picture of him years ago doing maintenance work on his old car.
On his Honda?
It was Honda. He ripped apart the door panels and he was doing things. And it's just like, get stuck in. I do my own plumbing in my flat. I mop the floor. And I will get stuck in. You have to.
He mops the floor.
I do. I genuinely do. And I've taken pictures to show my brothers because my family always laughs because like you always used to say you'll get someone, you pay someone to do it. Like, no, I will do it. It's
mop the floor,
my
mate.
place. I take pride in my places. And I think it's important to roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. And I think if we think of when we were kids, if I did become a plumber when I left school, and let's say I bought a property when I was 20 because the prices were a lot less, right?
Like I wish I did.
But imagine, or a flat and a house. Then. That, after working all these years in corporate, actually, I'd be sitting on a great portfolio right now compared to working in a corporate with a degree trying to jump on a property ladder now. So if it's about, then there's different lifestyles. You can say, well, actually in the corporate world, you're exposed to these networks and doing all those things. But if you look at it from a survival perspective and the value of yourself in terms of your assets, if you want to look at it that way, then actually work smart, not hard. Look at where the trends are going. Look at what people need in the future. And I think the smartest people I've met think of not what people need now. What will they need in the next 2 to 3 years? And I think this is a valuable topic. Again, referring back to these cups of robots. If you look around the supermarkets, cashier jobs are going.
Oh, long time.
I'm doing my own work. Like, fine, roll your sleeves up and do the work. Right? Just beep, beep, beep. Where have we gone? Airports. I checked myself into Terminal 5. I got into some pod from the car park, got taken to the airport, and then I'm checking myself and I'm jumping on a plane. I'm like, I've not met any humans.
I've not met no humans.
I want to talk to someone. I'm a talker. You can see we love talking, right? And that's why we get on. We both love talking.
Exactly.
So when you look at these trends, you're like, okay, well, I shouldn't consider occupation in that field because those are, at a basic level, I shouldn't consider that. So what should I do? And I think where we're moving towards, and it's a big topic here, is almost to what we were before certain industrial revolutions. So this is called the fourth industrial revolution, where technology is taking over a lot of jobs and displacement. We can say it was because of COVID or just technological advancements, but it's happened.
It was happening
anyway.
It's
accelerated. So then I'd say, okay, well, we need to be in a society where we support each other's businesses. And I see the coming back of this. So people used to have market stalls or trades or crafts or whatever. And now in lockdown, people are making their own soap. They're doing their own food. And again, I've got my food out because people are doing baking and Chef 33. I'm always going to mention that for your bakers and home cooks. But people are bringing back their crafts, right? And I think it's up to us as a society to support one another through these times. And I'm all for supporting local businesses. Now, obviously, there is a part of convenience where we'd rather shop on certain sites because it's easy and it gets to our door. But I also believe that as a society, if we really want to thrive and see everybody succeed, then we need to buy fruits from our local fruit shop. We need to buy meat from, or if you eat meat or don't, vegan, sorry.
Yeah.
But, whatever you're eating and producing, buy locally if you can and support one another. And that's where I see apps, especially in the gig economy, which is almost a shared economy, person to person, supporting one another. That's where I see the trend
building your community that's actually around you.
Yeah.
And even to add on to that point, do you know that most successful businesses, very simple bit of knowledge here, most successful businesses or services are things that give value to other people. So often I see a lot of people who come to me who want to build businesses and attend my Mula Motivation program or my one-to-one weekend program, and they want to build something or create something that I really can see is because it's exciting for them. And to be open and honest, those businesses don't tend to work a lot. A lot of successful businesses are businesses that provide a service or a product that help people. That's why there's so many gyms. That's why, whether planes do well.
Yeah.
That's why, whatever it is, it's services that help people, not just that's something that's good.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And that brings it onto a topic as, do your market research. Like, understand what people want. Due diligence. Like, if you think it's a great product and people will use it because you need it.
Because you need it.
We aren't
you
reflective.
Like it.
Yeah. Like, I'm a suits guy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if I had a clothing shop and I say, well, I'm not going to stock tracksuits because I don't wear tracksuits. No, of course not. You've got to look at the market research.
I didn't want to make slim fit tracksuits and skinny jeans tracksuits. I didn't.
Yeah.
Because it's just not my style of dressing. I run a clothing line for people, not for me. So yeah, we got slim fit tracksuits, we got skinny jeans tracksuits we got jeggings coming as well. You get me, for you guys who like jeggings. I ain't got nothing against you guys, but I don't wear jeggings myself personally. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can't be for yourself.
Exactly.
It's for the people, so that's the way of learning.
Yeah.
So I love that, man.
Yeah. Always think about what we're bringing, what value we're adding. And do the market research to understand how many people will want this. Can I scale the product? Do I focus on one area? It could be that Manchester has a different trend to London. Yeah. Okay, then maybe I should set up something for the area which I'm in. Yeah. What do people around me need? If I was living in London trying to run a Manchester business, okay, geographically, does that even make sense? Yeah. So really put thought into your location, your product, your pricing point, your promotion. This is, they call it the 4 Ps of marketing. Yeah. Product, price, place, promotion, or packaging, if you want to add that in as well.
And mine is perfect planning prevents poor performance. So whichever 5 Ps you want to use, just make sure you're using some of the Ps, all right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So some thought process into what you're doing and how you're doing it.
So so in terms of last bit of food for thought for people who's coming out of lockdown right now.
Yeah.
I want to give them some value in terms of things they can think about for those people that's now lost their jobs. How or what is good ways, piece of advice, on how to look for new jobs, how to approach new jobs, or even to how to get your mindset away from, well, I'm an artist, I don't know about plumbing. What kind of advice would you give to those people who want to come out their comfort zone or don't know how to come out their comfort zone to find new jobs, because lockdown's about to be lifted, and that means job availability is got to be there in a certain extent, but that might not be their field.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice have you got for that?
So firstly, what I'm going to say is I'm very mindful. A lot of people have suffered a lot of losses, okay? And, everyone's been in the same storm, but not everyone's been on the same boat. And I think that's important to say, because people might look at it and say, you can sit there in your suit easily talking about this, but you don't know my situation. So I'm sorry, I don't know everyone's situation, and I know it's been hard. So just approaching it from an empathetic point of view, sorry to those who've lost money or jobs and whatever lifestyle, and I'm, fully feel it for you. From the heart, in terms of advice, I'd say the first part of it is mindset. To be receptive and accept that is, you need to make a change. The world has changed, right?
Accept you need to make a change.
Accept you need to make a change, right? So that's a mental shift. And I think once you've made the mental shift, then you need to be, for me, again, my personal thoughts is, be open to learning a new trade, learning a new skill, and not to be afraid. I think when you've done something for a certain number of years and you think that's all you know, we are humans. We are built to survive and thrive.
Magical humans.
We are our brain is capable of so much. When you realize the capacity of what goes on in your brain vortex and everything else, it's fascinating. And I won't bore you with that, but it's a great topic for another day maybe. But I'd say to firstly make that inner mental shift that you want to change and you will change, and approach it positively. Now, I'm not saying you will get it right. You might make some mistakes. You need to find what works for you that you enjoy. You spend a lot of time at work doing your craft. Don't go into something if you hate it. If you hate climbing trees and chopping down branches, don't do it.
You're never going to do it. Yeah, you're not going to continue it. Yeah.
Think of things which are coming up, what people need, what services do people need. For example, a lot of people have been stuck indoors. They're used to working from home. Will they go back to the office? Maybe not. Why not think of an idea to design someone's workspace in the house, for example? Like create a desk, create some sort of backdrop for the walls, and be the person that goes out and does it. You know, that's just one idea.
And that's a business idea for free.
There you go. You got it here. Suits and Tracksuits with Dexter and Javed. And other things is, you know, just be open. You know, read magazines, newspapers, follow social media. There's a lot of trends. Look out for trending topics. If you're in the beauty space, vegan products are huge. You know,
it's happening.
Eco-friendly. You know, everyone's very conscious. Well, I say people are generally more conscious of climate change. What we're consuming, what we're putting into our bodies, be it water or food, or whether it's genetically modified, or whether it's corn-fed chicken for those who eat meat, or whether it's soya or tofu or whatever. You know, it's where's it come from? How's it affecting my body? There's Netflix documentaries on things. And think of the messages being put out into the world right now. So we're clearly in a world where people are going to be very concerned about where they go and what they do, because they might be worried about germs now. You know, if someone coughs, if someone coughs, they look at him like, what did you just do? Yeah, that glare of, okay, I'm sorry I offended you with my cough. But sometimes it's not a COVID cough. It could be
it's just a normal.
It could be a normal cough. You know,
it could cough, innit?
It could be my aftershave's overpowering. So, what does that mean? So people will want hygiene products. People may want certain types of wipes, fragrance wipes, something that can fit in a handbag or a man bag or whatever bag. To keep it gender neutral and inclusive. Wipes for the cars, whatever. Just think about the things which people need as we go into this new world. And again, I've touched on basic ideas, but I'd say it requires research. Again, it comes down to strengths. Look at your strengths, what you enjoy doing. Look at where the world's just coming from, where it's going into. The jobs that have gone, the industries have been hit the hardest, the ones which might resurface and the ones which are gone for good. And I hate to say that, but there will be industries which may never come back. And then approach it that way, about how can you fit a product or a service or something you do into that new space and a new world. It could be home birthday parties because people don't want to go out to venues, or people's budgets have reduced, so create a home party package for up to 10 people or 15 people or whatever is allowed. Some ideas.
No, I like the ideas. I like the ideas, even though I feel like a lot of the ideas was down the business route and we wanted some working routes, but maybe I can touch on a little bit of working stuff, which I have in my heart. Because I do have a lot of, well, not a lot, but I have a few friends who have 9-to-5s as well. Because everyone just seems to think I just hang around just entrepreneurs and self-made people. But I have a few friends in the 9-to-5 world. And, you know, I speak to them. And, you know, they tell me their problems. Or they tell me their highs. They tell me their lows. And some of my advice to them has been stuff like, have you ever considered just actually going to your boss and saying to him, can I have a pay rise? It's just that simple. Can I have a pay rise? He's got to ask you why. Then you're going to give him the reasons why. And he's going to say yes or no. But that simple conversation might be a shift in your life in terms of he says yes, now you are much happier and you work a lot better. And then your life becomes better. He says no, and then you think, this is why I don't like this place. And then you leave, and then you start a successful career somewhere else. That's just one example. Or asking your boss, can you change positions? Some people have taken on a managerial role, supervisual role, and they're not maybe experienced for that role, and it's causing them stress. But maybe they just don't know how to get out of it because they think they're just going to lose their job. It could be just a conversation with your boss to ask him, can I change shifts? Can I work on Tuesdays, not Wednesdays? Be open to having a conversation of trying to change your own situation. Or the other advice I give people is, the job that you're in, how much do you love it? Because when you're in a job that you love, you don't consider how much money you're being paid so much in terms of, I need to get this much to feel good. Because sometimes you want to get that much money to feel the pain of being in this shitty job. So you try and fill the hole with money. But then you're going to end up coming home being upset, wanting to leave early, waking up in the morning being upset, because it's going to a place that you're not happy in. But because the money, and this is why I try and express to people, don't work for money. But they get it confused when I'm explaining to them about working for money. You need to work for happiness. You need to work for comfortability. There's a saying in my business world, which is, it's not the business you do with people, it's the people you do business with.
Interesting.
Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Like that.
It's not the business you do with people, it's the people you do business with. Because you can do good business and we can earn lots of money. But mate, if I come here every time and you make me feel shitty, I'm going to eventually feel like I don't even care about the money. I've got the money 2, 3, 4 times. I'll miss out on the 5th and 6th because his attitude just makes me upset. Forget the money. Or, I love that guy so much, I don't even care if he's not paying me today. Like, I'm going to go there because I'm going to get some jokes. He's going to help me out of the car park. He's going to give me some advice from my sister. Do you know what I mean? I feel like some people are in a situation and all it might take is a conversation to better your situation. And building up the self-confidence to do that, it might just take a deep breath. It might just take a conversation with another person to give you that confidence. But you never know. That one conversation could change your situation. And that's my advice for some people in the working environment. If we just want to quickly touch on some advice for people who started their own business, who have stopped doing their own business, or who's thinking about doing their own business, all due to lockdown. What kind of advice we give to those kind of people? Which obviously we touched on a few subjects already, but yeah.
So those who started, stopped, and continued.
Yeah. Some who's thinking about starting a business because lockdowns changed their situation. Someone whose business has actually crashed because of lockdown situation, or someone who started a business because of lockdown situation.
I think it all comes down to planning. I think planning, spend time with pen and paper or keyboard, laptop, whatever, we're digital world.
I still use pen and paper.
I use pen and paper. It helps me. I have a diary. I've got a digital diary, but I have a physical diary which I make notes in because it helps me put things on. And they say there's something psychological that when you write your things in pen to paper,
digitally writes a footprint in your brain.
Yeah, it records it. Yeah, it records it. And you remember it better. So I'd say take the time to plan. Now, sometimes it's good to go and get stuck in, but if it's a bit like running around with no direction. Yeah, it's like with a business. 100%. So if you have this is my target, and it comes back to the book recommendation today as well, right? Yeah, which we'll go into later. But having a goal, having a target.
He ain't lying when he says to set your targets and your goals. How do you think I got to 30k a month? I set my targets and my goals.
Okay, this is where I want to get to in the next 2 months, 3 months, or this is the product I want to produce, or this is what I want to sell. When you start asking yourself questions, how will I do it? Where will I do it? With who? The who, what, why, when questions. Ask yourselves a million questions if you have to, and just get it all down. Think of things that could go well. So SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. List down all those things. So strengths, what's going well, what could really work in your favor in this industry. Weaknesses, which areas could be down to budgets, which could you launch with one area and not another to begin with and bring that in once you've made a certain amount of money? Okay, cool. So to address that weakness, what level of money do you need to reach and when do you need to reach it by? Opportunities. Okay, so-and-so's on this business, it might be ready for a takeover. Can I be in that position to buy that? Threats. What are your competitors doing? Research what others are doing in that space. How can you overcome that? How can you be strategic? How can you be creative to overcome what others might be doing? And I think the core message on this point is whether you're starting, stopping, or continuing a business is to really evaluate the current position, because like we say, the world is different. Things have changed.
Yeah.
People are getting funding like this C-bills and all this other stuff, which I know we're going to touch on. But you know, if you have taken these loans, how are you using that wisely? I know people who've taken these and bought cars and like, really, you've got to pay that back. Is that really a wise thing to do? So how can you invest in your business, which will get you a return? Like if you're, for example, social media advertising, if you're spending your budget on social media advertising, you'll get followers, you get likings, you could increase your business, you're increasing your customer base. Yeah. That to me is a positive way to use finances. If you're blowing it in other ways, then is it the right way? And I know you had some thoughts on this as well, Dexter.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to catch on 1 or 2 points in terms of advice for those who started, stopped, or continuing their business. I would say, especially for those starting, start small. A lot of people have great ideas. And I say great because they are great. They're great ideas. But an idea means nothing without implementation. So therefore, when you're thinking of starting a food business, let's start by learning to cook, cooking for your family, then cooking for your friends, then selling to the local customers before you think about opening a restaurant. Do you understand what I mean? Or if you want to get into maybe even property, instead of thinking about how can I get out a loan and get a mortgage, or how can I get into, I want to own a hotel, start Airbnb. Rent out your spare room. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people nowadays think very big, but they also want very big without understanding that there's a process in between that takes very long. Yeah. So take small steps in growing. Do you know what I mean? And the other point that I wanted to make was about how much money. This is serious. This is serious, Jav. Because everyone wants to start a business and become a millionaire. Yeah. Even a thousandaire. Yeah. How much money do you need? Do you need? Not like how many holidays, how many cars, and how much money do you need? Yeah. Especially when you're starting a business. Yeah. Because you need to cover your bills.
100%, yes.
Cover your bills and maybe once a week cinema. You know what I mean?
Cinemas are open?
When they're open, you know what I mean? Gather that much money from your small business for a few months. Don't spend extra because you don't need extra. What you need is your business to grow. So use the little you have. Stay low key and build. Yeah. You don't need to, I've just made £100 profit. I'm going to spend £80 on a pair of trainers. Like, what is that? One of my favorite rappers, R.I.P., Nipsey Hussle, his favorite saying, all money in. All money in, no money out. That's what I would say. Yeah? And that brings us on to the book recommendation.
It does.
Yeah, because I got a book recommendation that you guys need to go and watch. Go and watch.
Watch your books.
Need to go read. But you can watch books nowadays. You can read books. You can watch books. It's YouTube. This is what I'm saying. Because you also need to know how best do you learn. Like, how best do you learn? Do you learn through your ears? So do you listen to audiobooks? Do you learn through your vision? So do you watch visual stuff? Do you learn through talking? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you learn? So, my book recommendation for this episode. You see what I'm saying? I'm losing it. But we're coming to the end of the episode, so I'm a bit tired. But my book recommendation is called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a book that helps you understand wealth. One of the main things it teaches you is about paying yourself first. I had to learn that, Jav. I pay everyone. I pay the tax man straight away. Yeah. I pay my bills straight away. Then I pay my staff. Then I pay my rare. And then I think, don't worry, I'll pay myself next month. No. Before the tax man, I get paid now. Yeah. The richest man in Babylon will make you pay yourself first.
Right, guys, on the last one, a lot of you fed back that Dexter would interrupt me a lot. I feel like he's got so much better that it's
but wait, Jav, listen, can I just say something? One second.
George S. Classy or something like that. I remember his name was George though. Richest Man in Babylon. Make sure you get that book, yeah? And make sure you read it too.
Brilliant. I want to read that myself now.
Yeah.
So mine's, actually I brought it here.
Oh,
excellent. Sitting here silently. It's called Goals by Brian Tracy, and I think it goes back to a lot of the conversation.
Another Brian, yeah?
Another Brian, yeah. People talk a lot about ideas, including myself. But But I think one of the things I need to do myself is write these down, be specific or smart, smart, S-M-A-R-T, so smart, measurable, achievable, realistic, and then timing. Put those things down. It's an acronym, and you sort of list down, when you think of a goal, you have to kind of put these factors around it. Yeah. But have a timeline, like what is it you want to do? I want to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. By when?
When?
How are you going to do it? Yeah. Who do you need to help you do that? And you start getting specific, and before you know it, you've got a plan. So this goals book is really good to sort of help you create your goals, but also break down. And I'm all for big goals, and I'm all for thinking big and doing big things and all those things. But I think the art is in the planning. It's in the execution. It's in the implementation of what you're doing, and that all comes down to goal setting, but also planning as well. So this is all about goals, how to get things faster, use your time effectively, but recommended. Think big, do big things, but go about it in a smart way. It's not always about working hard. Work smart, and use books to help you. I think we're always learning, and I think that's the biggest thing, even at our age.
Life learning, life is the whole learning curve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I won't say whether we're young or old, but even at our age, you continue to
wise
learn.
age.
Yeah. Wise age, yeah, great.
Exactly. Well, with that being said, I want to say thank you guys for listening. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, like, follow, comment. Season 2, Suits and Tracksuits.
Thanks everyone, have a great day, and thank you for watching us and appreciate your support.
Right.